Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Yahlial in this incarnation. So today I wanted to talk about those moments when we are creating relationships from lack. And when I'm saying lack, I'm talking about those moments when we are trying to connect with people to fulfill our emptiness, And this is a practice that we could do with many things, with food, social media, TV, or other practices, but I'm going to focus on relationships today. So I think it's very important to create real connections. It's important to contact someone because I am really willing to share with that person, and not only because I don't want to be with myself or feeling the things I am feeling or whatever I am escaping of. So I think it's very important to create these healthy bonds with people, because this pattern could appear even if we are having a healthier relationship. I'm not talking about only a partner, I'm talking about every kind of relationship. So I think it's very important to understand and to be aware if we are doing this or someone is trying to do this, and to understand that many times it's very important to learn how to be alone. Of course, this pattern will change depending on there's people that have this tendency to isolate themselves, and of course they will have the test or the labor to try to connect and to open themselves to people and to ask for help and to be heard. And we all know which is the pattern that is actually operating in ourselves. But with people that have many codependency issues, I think this will be interesting. In spite of the pattern, I think all the people can do this, so it's important to only take accountability and try to change it. So I'm going to put an example. If I am contacting someone because I am bored, I think this is a place from lack, for example, because boredness, when we are bored or we feel apathy, I think it's very difficult to feel that way, because if we are doing our labor and if we are doing our purpose and if we are really in that place, it's difficult to feel bored. But what happens, and it happened to me, is that many times we disconnect from our emotions, we disconnect from ourselves, and we start to feel this apathy because there is too much happening there, actually. And that is an opportunity to contact with our own creativity, So apathy actually appears when we are trying to avoid ourselves. And if we are contacting someone because we don't want to feel that apathy and we don't want to see what there is behind that apathy, we are trying to feel an emptiness. And I think that's not the best place to contact someone, for example. I don't think we are doing that from a place of love. In other videos, I explained how for Kabbalah we can do actions from our egoistical desire and actions that came from love, that comes from love. So it's important to active our discernment and our honesty with that, because many times in the practice we're going to see that these differences are very, very subtle. So I can contact someone from an egoistical place if I only want that person to entertain me, for example. Other example of this could be when I call someone every time I am in crisis, or if that a person does that, because I am creating a trauma bond, and this happened to me too, because many times we are with these programations, and we find people that are in the same place, and we we get together to reclaim about life and to complain about life, and we create this trauma bond because we are not evolving, we are only complaining, So if I only this could happen when I am trying to find a guide, and this is a codependency issue actually, because if I always call a person to discharge myself, or because I am going through a tough moment, that means that I am not choosing that person to share other things, and that is not a whole relationship, That is a relationship where I contact that person only when I feel bad. And it's important to understand that even if I'm not contacting that person only when I'm feeling bad, if I am trying to escape from my feelings, every time I am feeling something very strong, I'm having strong feelings, and I am having an intense fear, for example, and I immediately call someone, I am losing the opportunity of learning how to be my inner parent, and how to practice a self-containment, a self-soothing practice, So I think it's very important to understand that many times this doesn't mean that people cannot be with us in tough moments. On the contrary, I think it's very helpful many times, but maybe we can take a moment to process our emotions, to understand what is happening with us, and to calm ourselves, to integrate our inner child hurt, because many times when we are feeling that way, when we are having strong feelings, those feelings are coming from our our wound inner child. So if I do that, and then I choose to connect with other and to hear other perceptions of what is happening to me, is different than if I am trying to escape of that moment, that strong moment, So it's very important, I think, to learn how to go through crisis alone many times, or to feel these feelings alone, only to learn how to self-soothe. And I think it's important to understand that my relationships are mirrors, are fractals of myself. So it's very important what I am choosing. I said this in the video that I talked how we perceive what we are, how we perceive this reality as we are. So if we are not sharing core values with people, we are connecting with them from lack, because we don't want to feel abandoned, or we don't want to feel our emptiness. And again, I think it's very important to learn how to be alone without feeling loneliness. That is different, because I think that there's people that can isolate themselves as a pattern, but they are not feeling good with that. And it's very usual in the spiritual process that maybe we are in a part, surrounded by people that are disconnected from their spirituality, and we are starting a path of taking that in a more serious way. And for example, it happened to me that I had a friend that I was having this inner knowing that we can modify the reality, paying attention to our thoughts, our emotions, and to the invisible worlds, as I like to say. And this friend of mine wasn't like that, there were times that he was acting like the victim, and there were times that he was taking responsibility, but I wasn't approaching life like that anymore. So we weren't sharing a core value, and this was something that was creating an abysm between us, an abyss between us. So I think it's very important to understand that people don't have to agree with everything we say or we think, but if we are not sharing core values, maybe we are spending time with those people because we are having fear of being alone, and that's something actually that comes from ego, that is egoistical. I am trying to avoid my fear and fulfilling that emptiness with that person. So I think the most honest path in that case is to choose ourselves. And I mean, these actions are sitting that in the long term, because many times this path has a lot to do with sitting actions for the long term, because ego likes the satisfaction on the now, material satisfaction, immediate pleasure, and that leads many times to take the wrong decisions. So when we are thinking in the long term and the things we really want to build in our lives and in ourselves, we start to this is something that takes effort. It's not easy. Many times we have to put effort, we have to put energy, we have to put patience, but we are seeing that in the long term we are creating a tribe, because I'm doing that with the faith, with the trust in myself, that I am going to that will lead me to connect with people that are aligned to who I am right now. So I think this is very important to understand in this process. We don't have to isolate, but being alone many times it's an important step of this path. Just to lose the fear of abandonment, to lose the fear of being alone, and to start to actually feel joy when we are alone. And then we can share with people, sharing that joy. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this, because I think it's very important to create healthy relationships and to be aware of this pattern that many of us can practice. So, okay, people, I'm ending the video here. Thank you, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.